The sound of my front door opening at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning wasn't just unexpected, it was the moment my entire world shifted. No knock. No warning call. Just the harsh scrape of designer suitcases being dragged across the hardwood floors I'd saved months to install. Standing there in my pajamas, heart hammering against my ribs, I watched my 23-year-old sister Chloe survey my apartment like she was shopping for real estate. That entitled smile on her face? That casual confidence as she announced she was taking over my bedroom? That was the moment I realized that sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones who'll destroy everything you've built without losing a single night's sleep. I'm Molly, and this is the story of how my own family taught me the most brutal lesson of my adult life, that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty, and sometimes walking away from the people you love is the only way to save yourself. 5 years. That's how long I'd been pouring my heart, soul, and every spare dollar into making Aunt Helen's old apartment into something extraordinary. 5 years of teaching 7th grade at Allen Private School, watching kids' eyes light up when they finally grasp the concept they'd been struggling with. 5 years of overtime tutoring sessions and weekend projects, all to create a home that felt like sanctuary. The apartment hadn't started as much. 2 bedrooms, decent bones, but tired in that way old places get when they've been forgotten. When Mom offered it to me fresh out of college, $800 a month when everyone else wanted $1,000, I thought I'd won the lottery. 20% below market rate to keep it in the family? How could I say no? What I didn't realize then was that nothing in my family came without strings attached. I transformed that place with the kind of obsessive love that only comes from finally having something that's yours. The hardwood floors that gleamed in the morning light? I researched contractors for weeks to get them just right. The walls I painted in colors that made each room feel warm and alive. I spent entire weekends with paint rollers, imagining how each shade would change the mood of the space. My sectional sofa, deep gray fabric that felt like a hug after dealing with 13-year-old drama all day, took me 4 months of extra tutoring sessions to afford. But sitting on it at the end of a long week, Netflix queue ready on the 65-inch smart TV I'd saved for all year? Pure bliss. The dining set became my masterpiece. I found it at an estate sale, solid wood buried under decades of neglect, and spent 3 weekends sanding, staining, and bringing it back to life. Every dinner party I hosted around that table, every late-night grading session with coffee and papers spread across its surface, felt like proof that I could create something beautiful. My bedroom was my sanctuary within the sanctuary. King-size memory foam mattress that made every night feel like sleeping on a cloud. Custom curtains I'd sewn myself because I wanted them perfect. A reading corner with the exact right lighting for grading papers and getting lost in novels on Sunday afternoons. Mom would visit every few months, running her hands along the granite countertops I had installed, shaking her head in amazement. "Molly, you've done such a wonderful job with this place. Aunt Helen would be so proud." Those words meant everything to me. $15,000 in improvements over 5 years, but seeing that pride in her eyes made every penny worth it. The only dark cloud during those golden years was Chloe. While I was building my life, working my way up from first-year teacher to department coordinator, Chloe was living at home with Mom and Dad, finding herself. In Chloe's vocabulary, that apparently meant sleeping until noon, hanging out at the mall with friends, and perfecting the art of avoiding anything that resembled responsibility. Don't get me wrong, I love my sister. When she maxed out her credit cards buying clothes she couldn't afford, I paid them off without question. Girls' trip to Miami? I handed over the money because seeing her happy made me happy. When she practically had a meltdown because her iPhone 11 was ancient compared to her friends' newer models? $1,200 later, she had her iPhone 14 Pro and I had another month of ramen dinners. That's what big sisters do, right? We take care of the people we love, even when it hurts. But lately, our monthly family dinners had gotten weird. Chloe would spend entire meals stabbing her food with unnecessary aggression, ranting about Mom and Dad treating her like a child. "I'm 23 years old," she declared last month. "I need my independence." "Then get a job and move out," I'd replied, trying to keep my voice gentle. That's how the adult world works. You want independence, you earn it. It's not that simple, Molly. You don't understand. The conversation that should have been a massive red flag happened 2 months before that Saturday morning. Chloe was on her usual rant about needing her own space. "I can't live with Mom and Dad forever. I'm an adult now. Okay, so what's your plan? How are you going to pay rent without a job? Chloe shrugged with that careless gesture I now realize should have terrified me. I'm considering my options. What options? I don't know yet, but I'll figure something out. I should have pushed harder. Should have demanded specifics. But Chloe's complaints weren't new, same conversation, different month, for over a year. I figured she'd either get motivated or continue enjoying the comfortable life mom and dad provided. It wasn't my problem to solve. I was content with my routine. Coffee and toast while reviewing lesson plans, walking to school by 7:45, staying late for tutoring, then coming home to my beautiful sanctuary. Weekends meant meal prep, Netflix binges on my big screen, dinner parties with teacher friends around the table I'd restored with my own hands. It was a good life. Every piece of furniture told a story. The coffee table from an estate sale where I'd seen potential beneath years of neglect, then spent a weekend making it perfect. The bookshelf displaying novels I'd collected over years, each one marking a different phase of my journey. That dining table hosting countless evenings where my teacher friends and I decompressed from our weeks, sharing stories and supporting each other. Mom seemed genuinely proud of what I'd accomplished. She'd take photos during her visits to show her friends. Look what Molly did with Aunt Helen's place. Isn't it gorgeous? Those moments of recognition felt incredible. This wasn't just an apartment, it was proof that I could create something beautiful while honoring Aunt Helen's memory. So that Saturday morning, when heavy footsteps and scraping suitcases jolted me awake, my first instinct was pure terror. Heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears, hands shaking as I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. Someone was in my apartment. Break in? Should I call 911? I forced myself to stay quiet, creeping toward my bedroom door, listening to those deliberate footsteps across my beautiful hardwood floors. Slowly, carefully, I opened the door just a crack and peeked into the hallway. There stood Chloe in my entryway like she owned the place. 2 large suitcases beside her, surveying my living room with casual confidence. What the hell? I shouted, fear transforming instantly into white-hot anger. I marched out in my pajamas, bare feet slapping against the floor. Chloe, what are you doing? You scared the crap out of me. She turned with that infuriating smile, like showing up at 6 a.m. with luggage was perfectly normal. Oh, hey Molly. Sorry, did I wake you up? Did you wake me up? It's 6 in the morning on a Saturday. Why didn't you knock? Call first? And why do you have suitcases? Chloe shrugged, that same careless gesture from our dinner conversations, and started pulling her suitcases deeper into my space. I figured I'd just come in. No big deal. No big deal? How did you even get in here? Mom gave me a key. Ice water in my veins. Mom gave you a key to my apartment? Well, it's not really your apartment, is it? Chloe's tone remained maddeningly casual. It's Mom's apartment. She owns it. Cold dread spread through my chest as Chloe abandoned her suitcases and walked straight toward my bedroom. My beautiful, carefully decorated sanctuary with the king-size bed and custom curtains and reading corner I'd created with so much love. This is the master bedroom, right? She asked, opening my closet door and rifling through my clothes like she was shopping. Better closet, better view. I'm taking this room. You're what? You can move into the guest room. It's smaller, but it'll be fine for you. This couldn't be happening. My sister couldn't just be commandeering my home, claiming my bedroom, touching my things without any conversation or consent. Chloe, stop. Stop touching my things and explain what's going on right now. She turned with that same infuriating smile. Mom said I could move in here with you. She thinks it's time I had some independence from her and Dad, and this way we can be roommates. Won't that be fun? With trembling fingers, I dialed Mom's number. 4 rings, 4 of the longest rings of my life, before she picked up. Molly, why are you calling so early? It's 6 in the morning. Mom, Chloe is here with suitcases saying you told her she could move in with me. What's going on? Pause. Just long enough to confirm my worst fears. Oh, that. Chloe needs to get out on her own, but she can't afford her own place yet. This is the perfect solution. Perfect solution for who? Mom, this is my home. You can't just decide someone else is going to live here without talking to me first. It's not your home, Molly. It's my apartment. I own it. Physical blow. 5 years of my life, $15,000 in improvements, countless hours of labor and love, dismissed with one sentence. I've been living here for 5 years. I put thousands of dollars into renovating this place. And I appreciate that, but it's still my property. Deep breath. Stay calm. Stay rational. Okay, fine. So how much is Chloe going to pay for rent? How are we splitting utilities? Mom actually laughed. Chloe's not going to pay rent, Molly. You are. That's insane. Why would I pay for her to live here when I didn't even agree to this? Because you have a job and steady income. Chloe's still figuring things out. The unfairness was staggering. This is completely unfair. Life isn't fair, Molly. Besides, I've been thinking about raising the rent anyway. Starting next month, it's going to be $1,600. $1,600. Double what I'd been paying for 5 years. Double what had allowed me to save money and invest in making this place beautiful. Mom, that's double what I've been paying. The market rate has gone up. I need to adjust accordingly. $1,600 is more than market rate for this area. I could find a better apartment for less money. Is that a threat? Are you saying you want to move out? I'm saying this isn't fair and you know it. Well, Molly, if you want to move out, that's your choice. Chloe has 2 friends looking for a place, and they'll pay the full $1,600 without complaining. The threat was crystal clear. Pay double rent to subsidize my unemployed sister's lifestyle, or get out and let Chloe's friends take over the apartment I'd spent 5 years turning into a home. You're serious? Dead serious. So what's it going to be? I hung up, hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. 5 years of being a reliable tenant, loving daughter, responsible adult. And Mom was ready to throw it all away for Chloe and her friends. Chloe poked her head out of what used to be my bedroom. So, when are you moving your stuff to the guest room? I want to get settled today. Soon, I whispered, voice barely audible. That Saturday became a blur of tears and laptop searches. While Chloe blasted music in my former bedroom and made loud phone calls about parties she wanted to throw, I scrolled through rental websites with tears of anger and betrayal streaming down my face. By evening, I'd found 3 promising apartments. All smaller than what I was used to, all more expensive than my original rent, but they came with something this place no longer had, dignity and peace of mind. Sunday morning, I was apartment hunting while Chloe snored in my former bedroom. The first place was a disaster, misleading photos, cigarette smell, water damage. The second was overpriced. But the third apartment was different. Quiet neighborhood, 15 minutes from school. Older building but well-maintained. Mrs. O'Brien, the landlord, showed me around personally. Smaller, 1 bedroom instead of 2, but it had character. Original hardwood floors, big windows with gorgeous natural light, cozy kitchen with beautiful morning sun. $950 a month. First month, last month, security deposit up front. More than I'd originally paid Mom, but less than her ridiculous new demand. And most importantly, it would be mine. No surprise roommates, no family drama, no one changing the rules without warning. I'll take it. When can I move in? Next week, if you can get me the deposit by Wednesday. We shook hands right there. For the first time since Saturday morning, I could breathe. But driving home, reality hit. All that furniture I'd bought and loved, all the improvements I'd made, was I really going to walk away and leave it all for Chloe and her friends? Hell no. I'd worked extra tutoring sessions for that sectional sofa. Saved for months for the dining room set. Spent weekends restoring pieces with my own hands. Chloe hadn't contributed a single penny, and she didn't deserve to inherit my hard work just because Mom decided to play favorites. I started making calls. My friend Max works for a moving company. Hey, are you working this Wednesday? I need to move while my roommate is out. Sounds like drama. You have no idea. I called my friends Sarah and Kevin, who immediately agreed to help pack Wednesday morning. The plan was simple. Chloe usually left around 10 a.m. for the mall, staying out late with friends. Plenty of time to get everything out. Wednesday came. I called in sick to work, felt guilty lying to my principal, but this was an emergency. I watched from my window until Chloe left with her oversized designer purse and the sunglasses I'd bought her last year. As soon as she was gone, I called Max. She's gone. Come over. Sarah and Kevin arrived first with boxes and packing tape. We worked like a machine, wrapping everything carefully, labeling boxes. The sectional sofa, dining table and chairs I'd restored, bedroom set, coffee table I'd refinished, TV, even the kitchen appliances I'd bought to replace the old ones. Are you sure about the microwave? Sarah asked. Seems kind of petty. I bought it. Chloe can figure out her own kitchen situation. The only things I left were pieces that had actually belonged to Aunt Helen, an old kitchen table and chairs, a dresser in the guest room. Everything else, everything I'd chosen and bought and loved, came with me. Max and his crew were amazing. Everything loaded in less than 3 hours. I did one final walkthrough, making sure we hadn't forgotten anything important. The apartment looked so empty without my things. For a moment, I felt sad looking at bare walls and empty rooms. But then I remembered Chloe's entitled smile and Mom's dismissive laugh, and sadness transformed into something stronger, liberation. I followed the moving truck to my new apartment, where Mrs. O'Brien waited with keys and a warm smile. Welcome to your new home. The day was spent unpacking and arranging. Sarah and Kevin stayed to help, and we ordered pizza for dinner. By evening, my new place was starting to feel like home. The sectional fit perfectly in the smaller living room, bedroom set looked even better in the cozier space. This place has good energy, Kevin said, sprawled on my couch with a beer. Much better than that family drama situation. Exhausted but happy, I'd taken control of my life instead of accepting unfair treatment. I'd chosen dignity over keeping the peace. Around 9 p.m., my phone started ringing. Chloe's name flashed on the screen. I smiled, imagining her walking into that empty apartment. Let it go to voicemail. She called again 5 minutes later, then again. I was actually enjoying this, picturing her confused face as she realized all the expensive, beautiful furniture she'd probably been planning to use for Instagram photos was gone. Finally, at 9:30, Mom's name appeared. I decided to answer this one. Molly, what the hell did you do? I moved my furniture to my new apartment. You can't just take everything. Why not? I bought it all. But Chloe has nothing to sleep on. There's not even a couch. That sounds like Chloe's problem. Or your problem, since you decided she should live there. You're being vindictive and selfish. I'm being practical. I found an apartment. I'm moving out just like you suggested. Silence. Then Mom's voice came back colder than I'd ever heard it. Fine. I'm glad you're gone. Chloe's friends are moving in next week and they'll pay the full rent without all this drama. You've shown your true colors. My true colors? Mom, you chose Chloe over me. You threw away 5 years of me being a good tenant and daughter because you wanted to enable Chloe's lazy lifestyle. Chloe is trying to find herself. Chloe is 23. When I was 23, I had a job and paid my own bills. You're not helping her by letting her live rent-free. Don't lecture me on parenting. I'm not lecturing. I'm done with all of this. Enjoy dealing with Chloe and her friends. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Then Chloe's number and Dad's too, just to be safe. I didn't want to hear from any of them. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. In my own bed, in my own apartment, with no drama and no unwanted roommates. It felt amazing. 8 months passed. I honestly forgot how peaceful life could be without constant family drama. My new apartment became my true sanctuary. I loved my morning routine, coffee in the sunny kitchen, getting ready without anyone blasting music or hogging the bathroom. Slightly longer commute, but worth it for the peace of mind. I didn't miss the family dinners. Didn't miss Chloe's constant money requests. Definitely didn't miss Mom's passive-aggressive comments about my life choices. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Then one day, I ran into Dad's sister, Aunt Michelle, at the grocery store. We'd always gotten along well, and she'd stayed out of the apartment mess. "Molly, how are you, honey?" Big hug. "I'm doing great, Aunt Michelle. How about you?" She looked around nervously, then leaned closer. "Can we talk privately?" We walked to the coffee shop section and sat down. Aunt Michelle looked uncomfortable, debating whether to tell me something. "What's going on?" "I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but I thought you should know. Your mom's been having problems with that apartment situation." I kept my expression neutral. "What kind of problems?" "Those friends of Chloe's that moved in, they've been causing trouble. Loud parties every weekend, music until 3 a.m., people coming and going at all hours." "But that's not even the worst part." She paused, looking around to make sure no one was listening. 2 weeks ago, they flooded Mrs. Richardson's apartment downstairs. My stomach dropped. I knew Mrs. Richardson, sweet elderly lady who'd lived in that building for 30 years. Beautiful antique furniture and collection of rare books her late husband had left her. How bad? Really bad. Water came through her ceiling and ruined thousands of dollars worth of furniture and books. Some were first editions that can never be replaced. I felt sick thinking about it. Mrs. Richardson had always been so kind, bringing me homemade cookies during finals week, asking about my students. What happened exactly? From what I heard, Chloe's friends were having a party and someone left the bathtub running. They were too drunk to notice until water was pouring through the floor. Oh my God. Mrs. Richardson is demanding $20,000 in damages, and she's threatening to sue if your mom doesn't pay up. She has documentation of everything that was destroyed. $20,000. I almost laughed at the irony. Mom had been so concerned about getting more rent money that she'd ended up with a bill 25 times bigger than what I used to pay monthly. We talked for a few more minutes before Aunt Michelle had to leave. The conversation stuck with me for days. I felt terrible for Mrs. Richardson, but wasn't surprised Chloe's friends had turned out to be irresponsible. Chloe had never been held accountable for anything, so why would her friends be different? A couple days later, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Molly?" Mom's voice. "Listen, I need to talk to you." "We don't have anything to talk about." "Molly, please. I need your help. We're having financial difficulties, and I was hoping you could lend us some money." She wasn't going to mention Mrs. Richardson. She was hoping I didn't know about the flood, damages, lawsuit threat. Let me guess. This wouldn't have anything to do with Chloe's friends flooding the downstairs neighbor's apartment, would it? Silence. How did you find out about that? Does it matter? The point is, you created this mess by choosing Chloe and her irresponsible friends over me. Now you want me to bail you out? "Molly, we don't have $20,000. That's not my problem. Please, honey, I know we made mistakes, but we're family." "Family?" "Mom, you kicked me out of my home for Chloe. You doubled my rent and told me I could leave if I didn't like it. You chose her over me, and now you're dealing with the consequences." "We didn't kick you out. You chose to leave." "I chose to leave because you made my life miserable. And now Chloe's friends have made your life miserable. Funny how that works. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. You enabled Chloe her entire life, and now you're surprised that she and her friends are irresponsible? You made your bed, Mom. Sleep in it. So you won't help us? Not a chance. Figure it out yourself, just like I had to." I hung up and immediately blocked that number too. Months passed. I never found out exactly how they resolved the Mrs. Richardson situation. I assumed they either paid up or got sued. Either way, it wasn't my concern anymore. Then one day, at the mall buying a dress for a teacher conference, I saw her. Chloe behind the counter at one of those trendy clothing stores, wearing a name tag and folding sweaters. She looked up and saw me. For a second, our eyes met. I could see recognition in her face, but she quickly looked away and pretended she didn't know me. She started bustling around, organizing clothes and avoiding eye contact. I walked past without saying anything. What was there to say? She finally had a job, which was more than she'd had when she moved into my apartment uninvited. Maybe getting kicked out when her friends couldn't pay rent had been the wake-up call she needed. Or maybe Mom had finally cut her off financially after the flooding disaster. Either way, seeing Chloe actually working for a living felt like poetic justice. I left the mall feeling good about my choices. I'd built a new life where I wasn't constantly being taken advantage of by my own family. I had my dignity, independence, and peace of mind. Could our family relationships be repaired someday? Maybe. But only if they admitted they were wrong and genuinely apologized for how they treated me. I wasn't going to pretend everything was fine just to keep the peace. Here's what I learned. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are the ones who'll take the biggest advantage of your kindness. Sometimes family loyalty becomes a prison that keeps you from living your own life. And sometimes, the hardest thing you'll ever do is choose yourself over the people you love. But choosing yourself isn't selfish when others are choosing to use you. Standing up for what's fair isn't cruel when others are being deliberately unfair. And walking away isn't giving up. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. I'm Molly, and I chose my dignity over my family's dysfunction. And I'd make the same choice again in a heartbeat. Thanks for listening, and if you resonated with this story, share it with others who might need to hear it, and don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about finding the courage to choose yourself when family relationships become toxic. Sometimes the hardest goodbyes lead us to exactly where we're meant to be.